This little piggy went to the market, this little piggy stayed at home. That's the old rhyme. Which piggy was the leader? We're figuring it out right now. In the research though, Dulwich and Higgs have noted that effective leaders are differentiated from other leaders through exercise of a relatively small range of skills or competence. Let's look at them now. Vision, believe it or not. If you have vision, you can be a great leader, because great leaders have a clear vision of where they want to go. Not just their company, not just their organization or business, but themselves. They have this presence about them, and they're able to articulate the vision to others. So their vision perhaps of themselves, they might keep private, that's absolutely fine, but you get this aura off them that they're confident in their vision, especially when they look at the company or the business or the organization. They can communicate this well. They inspire others by painting this compelling picture, because you don't know where you're at with it all. And so if you don't know where you're at with this, a person's vision, unless you put it down on paper, unless you draw it out, and if they're not an artist, let's face it, that's difficult. So that has to be very compelling, that picture, so that people are provided with direction of how to get there. This is really, truly important. That vision must be there and communicated. That's the next thing. Communication skills are so important for leaders. You would not believe the amount of leaders I've been in touch with, and they just don't have good communication skills, and they get frustrated. I keep telling them, showing them that this is the way they're communicating. Now, look at the way the person is receiving this information. And can you see the difference here? And so many of them just don't see it. Showing and telling are two different things. Listening throughout that as well is part of your communication package. Effective communication is essential for leadership. Now, great leaders, they're adept at listening intently to others and conveying their ideas clearly as well. They're providing feedback in a very constructive manner. Sure, you can criticize somebody. You can be open to criticism yourself. That is very important as a leader. But if you can be constructive with this via your communication, you're going to be much more successful. Now, great leaders also communicate openly and transparently. There's nothing hidden. Sure, they might just give a summary of what's happening or the troubles or the vision of the company, but it's transparent. Everybody knows about it. They foster trust and collaboration within their teams, within their organization, their business. And the next thing is, believe it or not, empathy. Having empathy is the ability to be able to put yourselves in the shoes of another. Now, of course, as a leader, there might be this hierarchy where you're thinking, gosh, they're down there, I'm up here. Why do I need to look down at them and kind of be on the shop floor with them for a while? Because you see exactly from a business point of view what the customer experiences by being in the shoes of a worker and literally spending a few hours or days even in their role. You begin to see where the difficulties and maybe the communication and overall vision is a bit thwarted. And so if you want that to be communicated through to the customer, that too can cause difficulties. Great leaders, though, they demonstrate empathy by considering the perspectives and the emotions of their team members. And with that, then, they're able to build strong relationships based on mutual respect. Another thing is integrity. These might seem like old-fashioned values, and that's what people appreciate. Integrity is founded on trust and credibility. If you're a leader that has just, for example, got a job of management a little bit higher up, and you don't have that overall credibility by independent bodies, by independent people, if one person is just giving you that job, you could be walking into a problem, because are the workers going to respect you straight away? Not really. If you don't have leadership experience, if you don't have communication skills, a vision, if you don't have empathy and so on. So the integrity is truly important to get that credibility. You have to also have a way of being with people, being with workers, being with others, and showing honesty, fairness, consistency. And these align with your actions and the actions of the organization, the company, the team. And there has to be values and principles that are all mixed in together. This is the form of what integrity is. Now, great leaders, then they'll look for ethical role models for themselves so that they can become better leaders. People like Muhammad Ali, people like Winston Churchill, these historical figures, looking and reading about them, studying them, saying, gosh, I am a little bit short on that part. I need to be a little bit more fearsome. I need to be a little bit more ambitious in my leadership. Things like this. Great leaders are aware, and they show this, and they try to be ethical role models themselves so they can inspire others in turn. And sure, they're not going to be Muhammad Ali. They're not going to be able to sting like a butterfly and fly like a bee and whatever else he did, which was wonderful. But they're certainly going to be able to take a little bit of that and transfer it into their communication to people in an integral way. Resilience. Resilience is truly important. Leadership often involves facing challenges, setbacks, problems that you can't even predict. But great leaders, they can demonstrate this resilience. They have this resilience. They maybe bring it from tougher experiences in their own lives. But through this resilience, to be able to keep calm and composed when the pressure is on. They're able to adapt then to change and preserve the integrity of the company, the people, even if the workers, the team are panicking in the midst of this pressure. They inspire confidence and optimism in their teams just to get through that difficult and pressureful time. Great leaders are decisive too. Being able to make tough decisions with confidence and conviction is that decisiveness. They look at the relevant information. They can take the wheat from the chaff, as they say. They can just look at the information specifically, unemotionally, and go, that's it, we do this, and I'm confident of it. Conviction, go and do it. And everybody feels that energy. And they are allowed to then go ahead and feel confident in their own decisive decision-making and so on. Great leaders are not afraid to take calculated risks and learn from their mistakes too. Empowerment is huge. Now, great leaders empower their team members by giving them autonomy. There's a lot of research out there with regard to what people want from jobs, say. And sure, you would think on the surface it's great money. They do. But they also want this autonomy to be able to have pride in their work, to be able to be productive. Great leaders will give resources enough for people to work with. And they'll support their ideas and their creative ability to be innovative within a business or company. Great leaders delegate, and they give tasks effectively and encourage people to grab hold of them, to foster them, and to have pride in that work. Great leaders are adaptable. Being adaptable and flexible allows you to have more ability when the pressure is on, and people can go and have confidence with your adaptability. They have courage. They're not afraid to be bold. Look at, say, in a business sense, money, higher value money, like millions, and go, no, we won't go for that contract. Yeah, everyone else is going, it's worth millions. No, it's not good to work with that client. They are not the correct client for the overall vision. Things like that. Being able to make these huge, courageous choices and be able to be adaptable to the change when and if you suffer and it doesn't work out. This and all of these things together is what great leaders are. I hope you've watched this video with enjoyment, and I hope you'll watch others too. And if you press the subscribe button, you definitely will. Thanks for watching, and please do have a wonderful day.